Aisha had only been at the Sterling mansion a few days, but she already sensed the unspoken rules that governed the household. The staff moved silently, carefully avoiding drawing attention to themselves, while the executives and family members carried themselves with an air of authority that felt impenetrable. Yet, amidst all this formality, there was one presence that seemed completely invisible: Lila, the CEO's daughter. From the moment Aisha started, she had noticed how the adults tiptoed around the child, barely acknowledging her existence. Lila was often seated alone, perched on a velvet chair by the towering windows, a sketchbook resting on her lap or a small toy clutched tightly in her hands. She hummed softly to herself, a delicate, wandering tune that contrasted sharply with the brisk, clipped conversations happening around her. The other children in the mansion, visiting relatives or family friends, laughed and played together, but Lila was left untouched, as if the walls themselves had chosen to exclude her. It wasn't that Lila was intentionally avoiding people. She longed to join, to be part of the world swirling around her, but the reactions she received were always the same. A glance met with discomfort, a smile withheld, a hand extended and then quickly withdrawn. Sometimes she would try to join in, stepping hesitantly toward a group of adults or peers, only to be ignored or subtly redirected. Aisha noticed the tiny quiver in Lila's shoulders, the way she would fold her hands together to steady herself. There was a quiet loneliness about her that tugged at Aisha's heart. That morning, Aisha watched as Lila traced shapes in her sketchbook, completely absorbed, humming a melody that seemed to float above the polished marble floors. Aisha's eyes lingered on her for a moment longer than usual. She had seen children struggle to connect before, but never with such consistent, casual indifference from everyone around them. It struck her deeply, not out of pity, but out of recognition that something needed to be done. Aisha took a deep breath, feeling an unfamiliar determination rise in her chest. She adjusted her apron, smoothed her hair back, and took a step closer. "Lila," she said softly, letting her voice carry a warmth that could not be ignored. The girl's head lifted slightly, her large, expressive eyes meeting Aisha's, a flicker of curiosity and caution in her gaze. "Would you dance with me?" Aisha asked, holding out her hand gently, her tone steady yet inviting. For a heartbeat, Lila hesitated, her small fingers curling around the edge of her sketchbook as though weighing the idea. Then, slowly, deliberately, she placed her hand in Aisha's. In that small gesture, something unspoken shifted in the room. The air seemed lighter, the silence less oppressive. Aisha smiled reassuringly, and as she began to guide Lila in a simple twirl, the quiet hum of Lila's tune seemed to grow into a song of its own, filling the grand hall with a warmth that had been missing for far too long. The adults continued their routines elsewhere in the mansion, oblivious. But in that moment, Aisha and Lila existed in a world entirely their own, a space where attention and kindness mattered more than hierarchy or status. Aisha's heart swelled with a protective, almost fierce affection. She realized that sometimes the smallest acts, asking someone to dance, simply noticing them, could pierce through the walls of isolation that the world often builds around those who are different. Lila's fingers tightened around hers as she tentatively followed Aisha's lead, and for the first time in what felt like forever, she laughed, a sound soft but genuine, echoing in the empty hall. Aisha's lips curved into a smile that mirrored the one slowly blossoming on the girl's face. It was a beginning, fragile but powerful, and Aisha knew that this small act of connection could be the first step in giving Lila the recognition and love she deserved. The grand hall, usually echoing only with the footsteps of hurried staff or the muffled chatter of executives, now held a different kind of sound, soft laughter and the gentle shuffle of two people moving together. Aisha guided Lila through slow, careful steps, matching the rhythm to the hum that escaped the girl's lips. Lila's movements were tentative at first, her small feet twisting awkwardly as she tried to follow, but Aisha's hands were steady, warm, and reassuring, giving her the confidence to keep going. As they twirled and moved, Lila began to mirror Aisha's motions more naturally, Her eyes, once wary and hesitant, sparkled with delight, reflecting a joy that had long been hidden behind cautious composure. Aisha spoke in soft encouragements, her voice flowing like a melody alongside Lila's own hum. "Yes, just like that, Lila. You're doing wonderful. See? Dancing is fun when you let yourself feel it." Lila giggled, a clear, musical sound that seemed almost foreign in the cold, formal mansion. She spun in a small circle, then stumbled slightly, but Aisha caught her, steadying her effortlessly. "Perfect! Again! Let's try again!" Aisha whispered, laughing softly herself. There was no rush, no judgment, only presence and patience. For the first time, Lila didn't feel invisible or ignored. She felt seen, important, and celebrated. Unbeknownst to them, Mr. Sterling had paused at the doorway, drawn by the sound of laughter. He had seen countless people walk past his daughter without acknowledgement, employees, family friends, even distant relatives. But here was a new maid, someone who had been in the house barely a week, who had done something none of them had. She had given Lila her attention, respect, and the simple joy of connection. He watched silently, hesitant to intrude on a moment that was clearly precious, as Lila's face lit up with pure happiness. He felt a lump in his throat, a mix of pride and a pang of regret for all the times she had been overlooked. There was something profoundly human in the way Aisha moved with her, guiding, laughing, and giving her space to express herself freely. It was as if the mansion itself had softened, the grand furniture and polished floors taking on a warmer, more welcoming air. After several minutes, Lila paused, breathless but exhilarated, and wrapped her small arms tightly around Aisha's waist. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly with emotion. "No one has ever asked me to dance before." Aisha knelt down, holding her gaze. "You're welcome, Lila. You deserve to be noticed, to be celebrated, and to be happy. Don't ever forget that," she said, her words carrying the weight of sincerity and care. Lila's smile lingered, her eyes shining brighter than ever. In that instant, the distance that had always existed between her and the world around her seemed to shrink. She felt a sense of belonging that had been missing, and Aisha, standing beside her, felt a quiet triumph, proof that kindness, patience, and attention could bridge even the widest gaps. From that day forward, Aisha didn't just clean the mansion or serve meals. She became a steady presence in Lila's life, a friend, a mentor, and a champion. And for Mr. Sterling, seeing his daughter laugh and dance freely for the first time in years was a lesson in empathy, patience, and the transformative power of a single act of human connection. The bond between them reshaped the atmosphere of the house, reminding everyone that even the smallest gestures could make the loneliest hearts feel seen and cherished.